Swinburne University of Technology.
Hi everyone, in this video we are going to be looking at the ggplot2 package and in particular the ggplot function and quite how the layering works. So we need to make sure that we've installed our ggplot2 package and then we've run library. And so we're going to follow some of the examples from the Lander book. So we are going to be using the Diamond dataset, which is in this particular package. So if we have a look at we can see that we've got a whole lot of information about diamonds. We've got carat and cut and color and price and so on. And so what we're going to do is we are going to look at some ggplot examples. Okay, so the first one that we are going to look at is this one here. And so the way that ggplot works is that you'll start off with the ggplot command, which is really kind of like setting up some axes and informing the software what data we're going to be using. And from there it works with layers, so we can layer things on top of it. In this case we're going to layer a histogram on top of it. You will often see the function AES inside the function calls. And it's what's called aesthetic mapping, and it normally has it has two different main functions. One is to inform the function what data you're going to be using, and that's what we see here. The other one that we will see in a little bit is where we can also inform other parameters. So the one that we're going to see shortly is going to involve setting different colors for the different variable. So let's hit enter, and you can see that we didn't specify any bin width, and so we do get an error message saying, hey, you could have figured out your own bin width, and so it's just given us a default one. And so here we are, we've got a histogram. In general, it doesn't actually matter where this info about the data is, so we can grab it from there, and we could have actually had it here up the front in the ggplot, and so when I run that it gives me exactly the same thing. So the first function, the ggplot, is telling me here is the data that I'm going to use, and my x-axis is going to be carat, and then the second layer is saying what kind of graph it is, and in this case it is a histogram. So the GEOM, the geometric shapes, there's a whole ton of different graphs, both conventional and slightly unusual graphs that we can produce using this. So if we just cycle back, I've got some more code that we can have a look at. So here you can see that we've started off, I've got my ggplot, I've said what my data is. This time I've specified an x and a y. So my y is going to be carat, and my x is going to be cut. And the type of graph I'm going to do is boxplot. And you can see that the labeling of titles and axis labels is done a little bit differently from in the base. So we add on another layer, it's called labs, and we can put in title and we can put in axis labels and things like that. So functions is just another layer we added on to the end. So I hit enter, and you can see that there's my box plots, and so I've got it split up by the different cuts. I've got the carat up the side, I've got my informative title. If I wanted to see all of the data all at once, then instead of having my x-axis being cut, I can just put in a 1, and then it's going to give me a single box plot for all of the carat information. But most of the time when we're doing box plots, the reason we're doing it is to be able to look at how much spread we have across some categories. So whether we're doing an ANOVA or whatever kind of modeling we're doing, we're just trying to compare the shapes and spot the outliers, which we can see with these the carat data seems to be pretty right skewed with some few quite high ones. Okay, so the next plot that we are going to look at is going to be a scatter plot. So again, we set up, we've got our data, and we've got This time we're going to have carrot on the x-axis, we're going to have price on the y-axis, and the geometric shape point is what gives us our scatter plot. So it's saying just plot some points. So here's our points of carrot against price. And that's really a bit of a blur. We can play around with our plotting characters and character size to make it a little bit more readable. But the other thing we might want to do is we might want to actually divide those points up, because whilst carrot and price are relevant, maybe there is other information, kind of cut and quality and things like that. So if we go looking with this one, we are setting some colors, and so this one conveniently we have a variable called color, and we're setting the graph parameter color equal to the variable color. And so I run that, and you can see that I now have my colors, and we can see that there definitely is a bit of a pattern going in there, where the different colors seem to be matching up to the different carrots. And if we were doing some sort of modeling of this data, this is where we'd start to think about whether we're either subdividing or making sure that we've got both color and carrot parameterized when we're looking at one or the other. So the last thing that we're going to look at is using what's called the facet. And facet allows us to create grids to look at multiple graphs all at once. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to basically replicate this graph that we've got, but we're going to subdivide it by cut and by clarity. So now we're going to be looking at cut, clarity, carrot, color, and price all together. And you can see it takes RStudio a second to produce all of this. Here on this screen and in the video it's probably a little bit small, but you can imagine we can export this as a high resolution image and zoom in it, so on. Really this is just for you to be able to see the grid pattern. These graphs themselves are probably not super informative. We can definitely see that across all of the different combinations of the cut and the clarity, we are still seeing those pretty similar pattern, so pretty similar shape relationship between carrot and price. So if we were modeling, at least we can be kind of reassured that whatever model we're fitting there for the price against carrot is going to hopefully fit fairly well, irrespective of the cut and the clarity. Okay, so we've looked at a few different examples of the ggplot. Basically the main takeaways are that it works with layers, so we want to figure out what we want to graph and just kind of build it up. So what kind of graph is it? Does it need colors? Does it need to be a facet to create a grid? Is there any other bits and pieces that we're going to fiddle around with? And each one becomes another layer and another little function that we just stick on the end. It's very, very flexible. It takes a while to get your head around all the different options because there's just so many. I would definitely encourage you to have a look at Hadley Wickham's book, which he wrote about it, and the other links that I've got in the course notes, because that's going to give you more examples.
This has been a Swinburne production.